Welcome, soon to be third graders. I am Mrs. Boswell and I'm the third grade humanities teacher. Third grade humanities is a lot of fun, and it is also the year you get to read some super awesome novels. We learn about Greek and Roman gods, we learn about our government, and we will even write our own congressional bills. We will also learn to create many different types of essays in third grade humanities. April 22nd is Earth Day this year, and it goes along with one of the first things we will learn in humanities. That is geography. Now, this is super important because when you come to third grade humanities, all of your tables will be separated into continents and you will be given directions using cardinal directions and a compass. Maps are fun and fascinating, and we will use these to learn about geography in all 7 continents and 5 oceans. All 7 continents are unique, and each has their own features. Behind me, I have a map. Asia, right here, is the biggest continent and the most populous. This means that more people in the world live here than anywhere else in the world. Africa, right here on the map, is the second largest continent and the second most populated. It is also located on the equator. The equator runs along the map right here in the center. And because of this, Africa is really hot. North America, also where we live, is the 3rd largest continent, and it is surrounded by oceans and seas. Here is North America. South America is the 4th largest continent, and it is home to the highest waterfall in the world. Here is South America. Antarctica is the 3rd smallest continent, and it's also the coldest. Did you know that Antarctica is considered a desert because it only receives about 8 inches of rainfall per year? Antarctica on the map is right here. Europe is the 2nd smallest continent, and it is connected to Asia to make the largest land mass called Eurasia. Even though Europe is a small continent, it is the 3rd most populous continent. So Europe is right here. Can you imagine that many people living in such a small area? Australia is our 7th continent, and it is the smallest. This entire continent is below the equator in the southern hemisphere on our planet. Australia is right here, and if we cut our map in half with the equator, this is our southern hemisphere. The other half, the top half, would be our northern hemisphere. Now that we've learned some facts about our continents, let's play a game. It's called Where in the World is Mrs. Boswell? Do you remember which continent is the largest? If you said Asia, you were right. Miss Boswell in Asia. Okay, next question. Do you remember which continent is the smallest? If you said Australia, you were right. Excellent job. There's Miss Boswell in Australia. Okay, here's a tricky question. Which continent is home to the world's largest waterfall? If you said South America, you were right. Good job. Okay, last one. Which continent is located on the equator? If you said Africa, you were right. Good job. I can tell that you are all going to do an excellent job in 3rd grade humanities next year, and I'm super excited to get to know all of you. See you soon. Hi, it's me, Mrs. Boswell. April 22nd is Earth Day, and because we are learning about continents and oceans, I thought it would be fun to both celebrate Earth Day and learn about our continents and oceans by doing a craft. So I collected a bunch of items that I have here at home, and I'm hoping that you might also have some of these items at home so that you can follow along with me. I have gathered some paper plates, some coffee filters, markers, some Play-Doh, glue, a spray bottle, some black construction paper, and some tissue paper that I just got out of my wrapping stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and create our earth using one of my coffee filters, one of the paper plates, and I'm gonna grab some markers. Now the markers I chose were green, blue, and possibly brown, the colors that I would use to create an earth. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just going to create some land masses on my coffee filter. So I'm gonna go ahead and just draw some land masses here. Okay, just like this. And after I'm done, it's going to look a little bit like this one. After I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and color in my blank spaces with the markers. Now, in order to do this, you don't really have to color in the entire space. You're just going to go ahead and make some scribbles. Okay, so after I've done that, my earth is going to look like this. Now notice that I didn't color in all the space. There's some white spaces left, and that's okay because we're actually going to spray this and get it wet. And once we do that, the coffee filter is going to soak up the water and absorb it and spread those colors out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray my earth next. I'm gonna grab my spray bottle here, and I'm just gonna give it a few, oh, I need to turn it on. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a few sprays until it's really wet. Now I'm gonna leave it on this paper plate because if I take it off, it will start to smear and it will no longer start to absorb that water, and it will just rub the marker all over the place and won't turn out right. So I'm gonna leave it just like this. I'm going to let this dry. It's going to take a while. I might set it outside to dry for a little bit, but once I'm done, it's going to look just like mine here. And notice it's dry. I just took it off the paper plate. After I'm done with my beautiful earth, and you can see all of my continents, I am going to take one of my pieces of black construction paper, and I'm gonna glue it on the construction paper. And it's gonna look just like this. Now I have a beautiful earth to celebrate Earth Day. Okay, so craft number 2. We're gonna use the tissue paper that I got from my wrapping paper stuff. I had to dig through some of my Christmas wrapping to grab the green, but I found what I needed. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to cut these into small squares using my scissors. Make sure you ask your parents before you start using scissors and cutting up tissue paper. So I've cut my squares, and I have a plate full of tissue paper squares, looks like this. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use my glue. Now I need to open it, and I'm going to go ahead and trace or draw some continents on my paper plate using my Elmer's glue. So I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, I need to open it. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and draw some land masses on this paper plate. Okay, I have some nice land masses. Now I'm gonna use the green tissue paper to fill in those land masses. I'm just gonna keep sticking the green all in following these lines. And I'm gonna keep doing that. Once I have all of the green land masses filled in, I'm going to start putting some glue in the area where my ocean would go. And I'm gonna fill those spaces in with tissue paper until there is no longer any more white spaces showing around this circle, because later I'm gonna cut this out. Okay, so after I've done that, my final product is going to look like this. Now notice that I didn't glue all of it down. There are still some pieces that are loose, and that's okay. What I'm gonna do next is I'm going to paint this using a paintbrush and the glue. So I'm gonna go ahead and take another paper plate. I'm gonna squeeze some glue onto it so I can paint it on. I'm gonna use a paintbrush. Again, ask your parents before you use any of their supplies. I'm gonna go ahead and paint the glue on top of this tissue paper until I've covered the entire thing. If perhaps some of it comes loose and I have a little white space here now, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab another tissue paper and put it on top. Oh, but not on top of my landmass. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna cover this entire thing up with glue, and then I'm going to let it dry. It might take a little while, that's okay. After it's done, I'm going to cut out my earth. I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this circle out. Just like this. Now, once this is done and it's completely dry, it'll look a little bit like a stained glass window. You can choose to maybe punch a hole in the top here and hang it up, or again, you can put it on another piece of black construction paper and create a beautiful stained glass earth for Earth Day. I hope you guys enjoyed these projects. There's just one last one. Okay, so this is pretty basic. I have some Play-Doh here. Now, I have maybe a tiny thing of blue, and I might have some white, and I don't think I have any green. Oh, I do have green. Okay, so I have all the colors, green, blue, and brown. And I'm just gonna go ahead and take these Play-Dohs, and I can use one of these papers, or I'm sorry, not papers, one of these paper plates, and I can do the same thing as I did with the other two projects and just flatten out my Play-Doh on my paper plate, creating an earth. If you don't have Play-Doh at home, you could also make your own homemade salt dough, which is pretty easy. Again, you should ask your parents before you do that. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I hope you enjoy Earth Day this year. And I hope you've learned a lot about your continents and oceans. See you later. Can't wait to see you next year.